You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Live. This is a live stream showing you the coverage of multiple tropical cyclones that are active out there in the southern hemisphere today. We have the main feature, which is Cyclone Niran, which is a moderate and possibly increasing category 4 approaching New Caledonia. That's the one on your right. On the left hand side you can see the top left there, a tropical storm that we've tagged that's making landfall in Madagascar right now. Meteo France have it down as a depression. And on the bottom left there, two systems, what's left of Marian, which is still going out there in the open waters, and also Cyclone Habana, which was a tropical storm last night and is now all of a sudden a category 3 on our estimates. We haven't managed to update the bar at the bottom because we did a last minute change. For some reason it broke down on me or whatever, but it is now, we've given it 120 miles per hour and a pressure of 956. So that's what we're looking at today. There's a lot going on, and that's why we've decided to do our first live stream of the year in terms of storm coverage. My name is Nathan Foy. I'm joined by our team as always. Today we have Farhan, Kenneth, Kin, Noah, and Ryan Knack. Good evening to most of you. Good afternoon to you. Good morning to you, Noah.
Good morning.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Time zones. Remarkable.
Yes.
So we've got these three systems, and the main one is obviously Niran, because that's now, I think, just less than 24 hours from striking New Caledonia. It will probably do that as a category 2 or 3 at this stage. What is it? Level 1 hurricane alert is what they've called it for the whole territory, and they're expecting upgrades en masse to level 2 first thing tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. in most places, 8 a.m. in some others.
Yes.
Now, I'm not entirely sure what these warnings allude to. Are they the similar ones to what they have in Reunion?
From what I can see, it is actually pretty similar. Right now, I have the latest, and Reunion is actually under a cyclone pre-warning right now.
Are they?
For the depression west of Madagascar.
Wow.
Yes.
Warning ahead of time.
Yes, they
right.
do
They have not issued a map, so I'm not sure which areas that are currently in warning.
Yes. I was supposed to grab some more imagery, but I actually appear to have misplaced it. So we've got these images at the moment, and it shows you quite clearly everything that's going on. So we're talking about Niran mainly. We've given it 145 miles per hour, and it looks beastly on satellite imagery. Kenneth?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You can see satellite imagery. It has rapidly improved since last night, when yesterday it's still been struggling by the easterly shear, and the forming eye just collapsed. But right now you can see an infrared satellite. It has a very curved clouds of with a pretty symmetrical and smooth, with negative 80-degree cloud tops and a negative 20 degree something, which the raw T estimate it will yield to 7.0, which even means 140 knot, which is category 5. But
wow.
note that it is a raw value, that the current intensity value we've given is 6.5, which yields 125 knots, which means 145 miles per hour, 1 minute a day.
Do you think
Yeah.
that's going to increase shortly the way it's going?
Yeah, because it's currently still in a very favorable low wind shear environment for early tonight, and it surely it will increase the intensity is still until like tomorrow, when there may be wind shear attacking Niran that makes them, because Niran is a relatively rather small system, that it will be easily being affected by external environment, maybe like wind shear or like jet streak interaction. Noah, maybe you can explain more about jet streak interaction.
Niran has been going through it. Maybe Nathan, you can.
Oh, we've just lost you there,
Um,
but I've just wanted to hop over to the infrared. We're looking at the infrared of it now from around, which really shows
Okay.
off the storm structure there.
Yeah, Nathan, I'm streaming the GFS
Oh.
200 millibar plot where I can show you.
Pardon me, let's see if we can get onto that. There we go. There's me as well, hello. I'm up there in the top left-hand
Okay,
corner, and
yeah,
go
the
ahead.
GFS. Here we can see the jet, and it has been weakening a bit through the analysis, and that's why the storm has struggled. Divergence from the jet hasn't been as strong, but now the jet is strengthening again, and that's why we have a lot of divergence over the storm, and that's why it's strengthening. So jets are a jet interaction, especially those ones, are a balance between shear on the storm and a divergence field, which is helping the storm, helping convection inside the core of the storm. That's why the storm is so intense, and we can see here it's strengthening again, and that's why it will probably continue strengthening.
Really, but how much longer do you think that could go on for?
I think it will be through the next 6 to 12 hours until the shear really gets to it, and I think we could get a 145 knot system at max, maybe 150 if it really intensifies.
If it really goes. I mean, the infrared imagery is impressive. I know that Farhan, you wanted to speak a little bit earlier. What do you make of the storm right now?
Well, uh, what I really want to point forward is I suppose some of you watching currently are quite surprised that Niran has intensified as it did, and although I don't blame you for that, I will say that for the rest of us here in 413 and for most people who track storm in Southern Hemisphere, it's not really a surprise since the beginning of the season in like late October, we knew that the condition is suitable for a system like this. We knew that the storm could form and explode in the Southern Hemisphere, especially in the Australian region. But as the month goes on, we see system after system forming and just struggling and failing to develop into much of anything that some perhaps think that, oh well, this is gonna be a bad season, nothing's gonna be anything interesting. But of course, uh, nature, as it's always been in the past 2 years, decided to prove us wrong with Marian, which early in the week peaked as a Category 3, and now Niran, a strong Category 4. And now, of course, like Noah and Kenneth say, there is a chance that it may weaken as it continues to travel southward. But unfortunately, I don't think that will have much of an effect on what the impact could be in New Caledonia, which would
Okay.
be quite devastating, I think, considering it's gonna make such a close path or even a landfall.
Yeah, what I've been seeing in models, I'm not sure that's changed recently, but from what I was seeing, and as a silver lining a little bit, is that it's not expected to be a massive rain problem, but there could still be some localized heavy rain and significant flooding issues. But from what I was seeing, it's going to be much more the winds from this storm.
Yeah, the storm is moving
Yeah.
pretty fast too.
Yeah.
Temporary shelters. Oh, sorry.
I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
Nathan.
You can go ahead. I was just gonna move on.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that emergency shelters have been set up and have been open for people who want to evacuate it. People who live in low-lying areas could go there if they feel they need to evacuate with be replaced. So they are preparing over there.
As always, if you've got any comments or questions for us on the stream this evening or this morning or afternoon local time, we're dealing with storms all around the world. We've got Niran, where the current time in New Caledonia is just after 9 p.m. If you're tuning in from there, nice to have you on board. Also, of course, we've got interests in places like Madagascar, which is just about 1 p.m. right now, Mauritius at 2 p.m. So, and Reunion there as well. So, we've got a lot of areas to cover, 4 systems that are currently active. And looking back on our dashboard again here, as all the images load up, you can see the storms on the right hand side. Cyclone Niran, which is the strongest of all of these storms pictured. The second strongest is Habana, which is on the left hand side of that bottom left image there. That is now a category 3, would you believe? And that has intensified dramatically. I didn't actually witness the intensification phase. Was anyone there to see that? Because I think I was in bed. How did it do it?
Well, the system that would become Havana was designated, and for a while there was a lot of confusion about whether or not it's a tropical cyclone or not, because at first, if I recall correctly, there were 2 centers that were fighting for each other, and our own K described it as Holland-like for quite a while. It's not
Yes.
until yesterday. It's not until yesterday that we find conclusive evidence that one center has become the dominant center and that it has become a tropical storm. And I think after that, it sort of just took advantage of whatever condition it had and sort of exploded.
I mean, I haven't witnessed the intensification itself, but I think the mid-level vortex, the convection was really, really organized. As still the low-level centers were fighting, and as one low-level center got dominant, the storm really intensified because the mid-level vortex and the overall organization was already really mature, and it really got intensification going.
Yeah, and he really, Habana really enjoys the very strong dual outflow and very low wind shear in the intertropical convergence zone, and with very good outflow and 29 degrees C surface temperature, and it just unexpectedly exploded right now to from tropical storm yesterday to currently a category 3. It's currently now a 75 miles per hour increase within 1 day.
Yeah, that's quite something. We did get 1 or 2 comments talking about how there are islands depicted on that chart, not far away on the satellite imagery, not far away from the storm. I think those are just reefs or little atolls. I don't think there's any populations in those small outlines. Do correct me if wrong, though. I'm not fully sure. Let's go to Ryan. You're showing us something right now.
Right. This is a press release that is being issued by the wait, hold up. New Caledonia's I could call it the Civil Security Council. It's in French. I don't know how to translate this, but from what I'm just seeing over here, it appears that they are expecting winds of up to 155 kilometers per hour, gust up to 220 kilometers per hour expected throughout New Caledonia as the cyclone passes.
I'm not sure
They
about
have
that,
it.
Ryan. I think they're a little bit behind the curve. I think that's what they're saying its intensity is. and then let me just have a look here.
If
And then
someone
it
knows how to translate that.
intensifying in the next 24 hours.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm not massive on French either, but strong winds starting to arrive later on today and tomorrow. Pretty much what we already know. But there's, looking down at the bottom there, you can see the level 2 warnings that are expected to go into effect early on the 6th, 6 a.m. for all of those places at the top there, and at the bottom list, 8 a.m. Not sure why they've staggered it really, because it's only 2 hours difference, but there you have it. I'm not sure whether that's the whole of New Caledonia, but that's quite a lot of place names, so it must be most of it at least.
Yeah, I'm looking back at the map, which it appears that every single part of New Caledonia is actually highlighted right now.
Yeah, because
Oh,
they're all
Nathan,
under
there's
level
some
1.
Yes, they're all on the level 1, yes.
there's some rather breaking news. JTWC has just fixed Niran as 7.0. It will be 140 knots if they go with the Dvorak fix.
Wow. Well, that's something. Let's see if, well, still fairly similar imagery to what we've been seeing, but the latest frames. Oh, it's a close one.
The structure was a little bit, but the structure is now going up again.
Yeah.
Has a
The
little
eye
break
temp-
on the northern side, but this
Yes.
closes again.
yeah. Eye temperature just dropped to around negative 17 degrees Celsius, which is still increasing. That means
yeah.
the storm is really still intensifying, and yeah.
I
All
think
right.
the CDO is just a hiccup.
Yep.
Maybe. Let's see. Let's take some questions. Will Niran be a Category 5? It's the burning question by the looks of it. I mean, you could argue it already is on the Australian scale, but obviously they mean the Sappho-Simpson scale. It's getting close.
The probability of Category 5, I think, is still pretty likely because the current fix is already 7.0, and there is still around early this tonight for it to still going up, which I think is still very likely. The tropical side is very high for South Pacific, so yeah, even account for that would exaggerate the iron intensity values. That is still a 7.0,
And questions
which
about
certainly
will it make landfall? It looks like it's going to strike New Caledonia. It should weaken somewhat before then, but 24 hours or so until the landfall. Quite concerning at this intensity here.
Yeah.
What even more concerning is that it will pass close to the capital city, and more than half of the population of New Caledonia live in the capital city.
Although Noumea, trying to remember which side of the island it's on. It's towards the south, but is it on? It's near the southern tip, isn't it? So, I think they won't have as much difficulty. Obviously, you're looking more towards the northwestern part of the island, the main island. Will Niran be as strong as Yasser? Is a question we've received there.
Maybe.
And
I mean,
go on.
maybe they both may have a pretty similar intensity. Yasser is the while borderline Category 5 depends on how you interpret a satellite path. I remember that it is a SMAP path, but the vortex is 7. Depends on how you interpret data. It's a borderline Category 5, and right now in here, Niran is, well, I would say it's very likely to be a Category 5 tonight, And here is some model runs. Let me see.
Oh, let's take a look at
Wait,
this if
all
we
right.
can. We're just waiting for that to load up. Here we go. We've got it now. Go ahead, Kenneth.
You can see, well, the models are very lagging behind the intensity because it's very rapidly intensifying, except HWRF. Well, that's like really, well, it really make HWRF really make it that this spike this, well, yeah, pretty accurate. And which you can see here is
Near
at
nil.
the lowest, yeah, near nil, very low point, and it will remain low until like early like 20 knot wind shear we're likely to reach like around midnight of 6th March for the it here right now. And sea surface temperature very warm 29 degrees, and the relative humidity is still 70%, very high until more it becomes more and more drier as it continues to move southwards, as it also be seen in the water vapor imagery. Yeah, it's very
Searching
dry
for it.
south of the mountain. Yep, this.
There we go.
Yeah, it's very dry here south of it, and as it moves southward, yeah, it will receive more and more impact from the dry air. And the model runs here. You can see New Caledonia is around here, and it
Oh,
will
that's
very
interesting.
uncomfortably close to Caledonia, or even a landfall south of it.
Now, okay, I didn't
Now the
realize
model
the
is more and more
HWRF and
consensus.
such were further south there, so that's interesting.
Yeah, it's more and more consensus that JTWC yesterday's code is still like moved very south of it, like this, way south,
Yes.
away from New Caledonia. But right now, as it moves now closer and closer, the consensus is better that it will certainly make landfall southern of New Caledonia, or if as it barely miss it, it was still very uncomfortably close.
It's a concern. That's why we're live.
Yeah,
Obviously, with
indeed,
the
a very big concern.
update on this. And also in the context of what's happened in the last 24 hours, it's been a very busy day on Earth. There's been magnitude 8.1 earthquakes in the, down there towards New Zealand, and 7.3 and another 7.5, I think it was. And there was a question about whether the storm surge will have what will be the effect of the storm surge, and I'm guessing the question is whether it has impact on the tsunami. I don't think so, but I just want to see what your comments are on that in general.
The tsunami was in the morning, so it's pretty much gone by this point. It wouldn't really have any effect. Although it does have a bit of an interesting situation for the people at the meteorological agency, because they have to issue a warning for Niran, but also warn people about the potential tsunami. So they sort of had their hands full this morning, but the tsunami threat is now gone.
But what about the storm surge threat from this? It's still there. How much are we expecting?
It's still there, but I don't think it's gonna be really severe, considering at the angle it is approaching. It's not like it's going straight on, like say a major hurricane going into the Gulf of Mexico. It's sort of just grazing it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's gonna be that big, although it will still be there and could still be quite damaging.
There's a question about Habana there as well. Is it still forecast to intensify? That's a good question. We've already seen it go well beyond what was expected initially. Are we now gunning for more intensification here?
My personal opinion, it has peaked because shear is gonna increase rapidly. But maybe it gets another 5 miles per hour.
Wow, okay. Oh, share the latest model runs.
Yep.
Where is it?
Let's just see if we can go back to see if there's any new frames on the infrared imagery here. So once again, you can see, I mean, we should take a moment to point out the remarkable cloud tops that we often see in the southern Pacific. Enormous, minus 80s wrapping all the way around, minus 85 plus in some areas too. The eye, consequently, is not particularly deep, so that's why this isn't yet a Category 5. In layman's terms, at least. Let's see if we can get Kenneth back. I'm trying to get.
Right, Nathan, you were initially suggesting the storm surge that is likely to be experienced in New Caledonia. The PDF which I shared just now states that they are expecting a dangerous sea storm surge with strong waves which can locally exceed 6 meters in height.
That's quite a lot.
Mm.
So 6 meters. I usually work with feet, but I can tell that's quite a lot. That must be what, over 20 feet? Is it around 20 feet? Somewhere along those lines.
That's about 19.6 feet, about 20 feet, yes.
Wow. So localized. Not everyone's going to get that, but that's still quite remarkable. Kenneth, we're on your screen here. We're looking at Habana.
Yeah. Yeah. The models are pretty lag behind intensity. You can see DSHP and LGEM is picking up all the way to forecast to still intensify in the next 24 hours. And here's the rapid intensification probability guidance. And you can see, well,
Now
the
hold on a minute,
probability is very
Kenneth.
high.
I'm just
Yes?
looking at this right now, and the usual models, the GFS, HWRF, and all that, they haven't caught up to the storm's intensity yet. The HWRF wants it to then go to Category 3, maybe even Category 4 by the 10th of March. How do you think its intensification that's just happened will factor into that forecast?
Or we will see this RIPA forecast, which say that the intensification, I think, will maintain for around 24 to 48 hours, I think, because I believe that as it moves eastward and stalling, yeah, that might, that I would maybe will go for more model guidance.
You're looking at a lot of things there.
Yeah, pretty much. There's so many things to look at when you forecast a storm. There's so many things to look at. Not just these model guidance. You may want to look more about the soundings of the models, everything. Really, it's not an easy process.
No, it certainly isn't. You're showing. What were you showing just there? Was there anything else just now? Well, there we are. Looking at.
I'm trying to show some sounding of that. They're still indicating a very low shear all the way around, because from this this you can see it's all the way in the intertropical convergence zone where the environment is the most favorable.
So what exactly is this graphic showing, just for the viewers, Kenneth?
It's the deep layer wind shear. Well, note that the reliability of this is pretty is limited, but why I'm showing that is showing that you can see here's is the belt of the intertropical convergence zone pretty much. You can see this belt of very low wind shear right now and very good outflow, a dual outflow right now, which very favorable for the storm to explore whatever it like to.
And just whilst you're looking at that, Kenneth, also pick up on the shear for the upcoming tropical cyclone as well, the one that's striking Madagascar at the moment?
Let me see if this is available. Maybe we'll just directly look at the model runs.
We'll bring that up
They're
shortly.
not really, yeah. But pretty much they don't think it is a very good one. It is forecasted to still be a 91S will still be a mad tropical storm.
Okay, let's see if we can get some more questions. Do send them in. Start your message with Force 13 all in text. It will light up on our chat section and it will really help me.
Okay.
See where we're up to. When is the storm expected to peak? Now, I've lost track of which one you're talking about, but I assume you mean Niran. We said earlier that maybe it's got 6 to 12 hours. And if Niran makes landfall, could it become the strongest to hit New Caledonia? Good question.
Well,
We're digging into the history books on
for
that
the
one,
last
right?
5 years, it could certainly be that for the last 5 years. I'm not sure about further back though.
I'll try and get an answer for you because you know I like to get the history correct.
New Caledonia, despite looking like it's in the open, it's kind of like Hawaii in the Central Pacific. It looks like it's an obvious target, but it doesn't get hit very often.
But it does sometimes. Just checking
It does
here.
happen.
Erica of 2003 was paralleling the southern coast as a Category 4. Just trying to find something else. There's no Category 5s that came anywhere near. That's probably the strongest one to impact. Oh no, there's Fran of 1992. That was a Category 4 landfall. It was a Category 5 at peak. Well, no, it didn't. Well, it made landfall on the small island of Wala to the north of the main island. So that counts, I suppose. Just actually weakened to a Category 3, but I imagine that was pretty strong. So yeah, there hasn't actually been a Category 4 landfall, and I don't think this one will be either, personally.
That's to be determined, really. Whether or not the course will shape enough, or will it not? We'll see.
More questions. Is Niran becoming annular?
No.
No.
That's a quick answer. What's the CDPS scale for the storm? I mean, I've not looked at that recently. It was a stage 5 yesterday. It wouldn't surprise me if it's gone to a 6. I doubt it's got to 7. I would probably say tentatively it's probably a stage 6 on that 10-tiered scale. And then we have another question, even better. Are both Niran and Habana becoming annular? I think
No.
the answer is no.
I
Throw around that question with strong system, eh?
The
They're both
Havana,
not
not really
annular.
sure if it really undergo the upper replacement cycle later on. Well, the uncertainty for Havana in the future is still pretty uncertain, I mean.
Habana does have a pretty impressive band. Slightly reminds me a little bit of a Bali, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Another South Indian Ocean storm and it just explode. But Bali is even more rapid.
There's no way Niran could get annular in its entire life.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe if it reforms a few weeks later.
Well,
Weeks. Okay. Could Niran do an eyewall replacement cycle before landfall?
Yeah.
no, can be, but we
Certainly
don't
could.
have the latest microwave imagery, so we don't know. Because all microwave imagery just missed.
Yet again. Steve, thank you very much for your support this evening. What are the sea temperatures under Niran both now and the next 48 hours? That is a good question. That's one thing I haven't had a look at yet today. I
think
imagine they're fairly warm.
now it's, I think, 29 degrees Celsius up until New Caledonia, and then I don't know.
Just getting it up here. Yep. So around 29 Celsius right now, which is certainly more than enough for sustained development. Um, the 28 band extends pretty much the whole length of the Grand Island of New Caledonia, and then it starts to drop a little bit more. But the way the storm's going, it's going to be going more easterly after it traverses the island. I think it will stay over 26-degree waters for a fair while. That, by the way, 26 degrees, the threshold generally for a tropical cyclone. I think it will take its time to weaken from what I've been seeing. Or, well, take its time to die off. It will weaken quite substantially when it's making landfall down to tropical storm status, but it might hang around a little bit more.
And after landfall, it will encounter really high shear with the jet stream.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it
So
will get
more likely
completely
it will
sheared
turn,
off.
yeah, and eventually it will turn extratropical as it, like 3 to 4 days when it entered to lower than 26 degrees and very high wind shear, as well as jet stream, that will certainly turn it to post-tropical with tropical storm force winds.
Yep, this is Force 13 Live, our first storm coverage live event of the year. And you know that's pretty important when we do live streams for that. We do have 4 tropical cyclones that are currently active. Cyclone Niran, which is the main feature this evening, local time over there. It is a category 4 with winds of at least 145 miles per hour. We're giving a pressure 935. And we've also got Tropical Cyclone Habana, which is now a category 3, which will be a surprise to some of those who are waking up on the Western Hemisphere, who saw it as a tropical storm or depression yesterday. Now a category 3. And also the fact that Marian is still going, which Lala has mentioned. How is Marian still alive? Any takers on that?
Okay, so Marian is still alive. It has a really in before it's a really large system. It has also had a large eye feature, and it also received 2 peaks of I estimate, if I remember correctly, both are lower end category 3. And at the
You know, I
moment when
can't
we
even
peak,
remember. Yes, category 3,
if
yes.
if it was when there's category 3, it's only at the waters or barely reaches the threshold of 26 degrees. And the wind shear is also low at that moment that it's peaking, and it weakening because at the moment it actually stalled and gradually turning from southwest to southeast, and by upwelling the ocean heat is very low. The sea surface temperature is already not high, so the ocean heat content is near nil, and it already weakened because of that gradually, but it's still bending pretty well. Like
It's on its
as
way
a
out.
recent trend, yeah. But now as it moves near 25 south, uh, it could react with jet stream and turn. You can see in the latest frame, the cloud just more compact and being sheared off. Pretty much, is in extratropical transition by the looks of things.
Yep.
And yeah, I think it would just turn extratropical fully tomorrow.
All right. Could this Southwest Indian Ocean season beat 2018-19 at this rate? Anyone want to comment on that?
Not in intensity of storms, but perhaps in numbers. It is possible considering how many storms we already have so far.
Yep, we are in March now.
How
There's
many?
still quite a while. I mean, let's think about it. We're on the H name. In 2019, we had it die about 6 days from now. So we're keeping up with 2019, aren't we?
But thankfully, it so far it hasn't been nearly as destructive.
And also a segue, good news, Meteo France is not forecasting any new disturbances to form in the next 5 days.
Oh wow. Well,
Yeah.
there we go. Well, that's probably because Habana will be stealing the show. It's going to be stalling all over the place and going meandering around the South Indian Ocean, and also the other system 91S still an invest, but we think it's a tropical storm. Made landfall not long ago in Madagascar, probably when we went to air. Rainfall pushing through central and northern Madagascar now, and then possibly onto La Réunion, which is under a cyclone pre-alert. So those are going to be the two main concerns this week in the Indian Ocean. And just in case anyone was still wondering whether Marian could go on to affect Australia, no, it's going to die off quite a way offshore. I know a lot of people were still asking about that a few days ago. Let's get some more questions then. Just one more there. Could this South Indian Ocean season be the most active? Well, that's sort of the same question, really. I mean, yeah, absolutely it could. And it would be very interesting if that did happen off the back of record activity in the North Atlantic last year.
Following in the footsteps of 2020 ADM, for example.
Yep, so Cyclone Niran is approximately 24 hours away from landfall, at least last I checked. Let me just see if I can get an accurate time indication on that. It looks like a little less than that now. In fact, hold on a minute. Looking at the latest, there's a new GFS model run. This is interesting. I don't know if Kenneth you'd be able to show this, but the 6C GFS has come out just in the last 20 minutes, and it is actually now calling for it to, I think, intensify. No, I don't think it is actually. But for it to be stronger when it passes New Caledonia, it could still conceivably be a category 3 when it makes its closest approach now. And I say closest approach because the GFS actually isn't forecasting a landfall anymore, but a very similar track to the storm I mentioned earlier, Erica, that it stays just off the southern coast to the point where the eye wall strikes the capital Noumea. So actually, looking at that, we could see, and looking at timing, we're looking at about probably tomorrow afternoon for the storm's closest approach to the capital. That would be interesting and dangerous.
Quite damaging, I could only imagine.
Yeah, and just checking that run as well later on in the run, it does survive, probably turns extratropical around Sunday afternoon, and then persists a little bit longer and dies off southeast of Tonga. Let me just see if there's any interesting changes that it's done on the 6C run for the Indian Ocean. And I'm just having a look. It's initialized Habana at high 970s, I think, and then it is calling for intensification on day 6 and day 7 into the 960s, curving back westwards. Won't affect land though, so nothing really new with the Indian Ocean forecast.
Right now, I'm looking at chat. They're apparently asking for information with regards to Disturbance 11F, located in the South Pacific. I do have the latest information provided from Fiji Meteorological Service right now. Ironically speaking, they actually want this system to move southeastwards with slight intensification, and that the system to develop into a tropical cyclone in the next 24 to 48 hours is low to moderate.
Okay, yeah. Where exactly is that located?
It's very far southeast of Vanuatu at 23.4 south, 172.5 east.
Is it on the screen here? I'm not sure if we're looking at the right area. This is the only imagery we have of the area, so I'm not sure if it's on here.
Oh, it's actually south of the email.
Yes,
at force
it's there.
13.
Yes, it's there.
Right, yes.
That's the top of the convection for the system. I'm seeing it now. Yes, okay. So southwest of Fiji, and currently moving just a tad east by the looks of it. It does look interesting. But if it's one of, we have this, we tend to have a phase every season in the South Pacific where you get a train of really, really disorganized, intense thunderstorms, and they all try and become cyclones at the same time, and most of them fail. And some of them manage maybe for 6 or 12 hours. So this might be another instance.
I think that's a phase that happened in all of these.
What was that?
In South Pacific. I think that's a phase that happens in every.
I suppose it can happen in other basins too, but I just seem to notice it more in the South Pacific. Maybe just because it's more emphatic with the higher cloud tops. I mean, yeah, you tend to get that around the Japanese islands as well.
And pretty much the monsoon trough is just riding in the South Pacific.
Yes. There's some more questions here. There's a question there. Is the that the Southern Oscillation Index has plummeted, and what does this mean? First of all, is that true? Do we know?
That we'll probably get some warming in the Enzo region.
Oh, well, that's what it would mean if it is true. I'm not privy on that one. That would
So I know that it is low, the SOI.
Okay. And is there a chance that Niran could pull up an ETA and an IWAR replacement cycle?
No, let's not make any comparison. ETA and IOTA of last year are just completely out there, completely unique cases, one that we'll probably not see for a long time, and I don't think any storm could be compared to it, at least not anytime soon. I am not going to accept any comparison with those two. I'm sorry, but no.
The environment from Niran and ETA is also completely different, so it makes no sense to compare them.
In other news, wow, on this latest infrared imagery, the eye looking better. The northern eye wall blowing up again there, certainly throwing away that potential weakness. So the eye temperature's increased. I'm not sure what it is right now, but it's definitely increasing there.
Right now it's -4 by ADT. It's near
-4.
0 right now. Yeah, it's rapidly warming right now.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
pretty close to Category 5.
Yeah, I think I'll do a new.
I think it's stronger than 145 miles per hour.
Yeah, I think I need to do a new fit. Probably this should be upgraded then.
Yeah, unfortunately, for some reason, I've not got to the bottom of it yet. I can't update the bottom bar if we do get any updates on that, but we will be finishing up here in 10 minutes' time because the storm, well, it's late in the evening over there in New Caledonia. We'll probably be live again tomorrow morning when all of that happens. Of course, when we go off the air, if you're watching us on the live page, youtube.com/force13/live, that will show throw back to the automated stream, which shows the latest satellite imagery of all of these storms as well. So there's always something to look at there. But really impressive in those latest frames.
Yeah, the CDO has become really circular with the ring.
Let's see. Do send in more questions if you have any for us right now. Let me just take a little look at actually whether the rainfall expectations have changed for Niran. Obviously, that is going to be quite important, and off the back of that, what implications that might have for the CDPS now. So I'm going to do a little bit of number crunching and try to work that out. But we're expecting, if it was to make landfall, which at the moment it's now sort of expected to glide past. Let me just check this here. This will take a little while. And that's the thing as well. It's still trending stronger, so the models might be underestimating this a little bit. But we'd say a worst case scenario, we're looking right now of a 125 mile an hour landfall actually. If it was to make an absolute beeline for land. So at worst case, just typing in all these numbers to our CDPS algorithm, which is taking longer than expected, and an expected rainfall amount of, let's see now, we're looking at probably 3 inches, 150 millimeters or so. So that would make it actually not as bad as I thought. It's still a stage 5. Wow. I thought it would be higher than that, but still a stage 5 according to this. More questions. Is there any dry air that could affect Niran? We talked about that a little bit earlier. There's a lot of dry air to the west. Do you think it will get there anytime soon?
Not soon, but later on, after landfall, it really has problems with dry air intrusion.
Kenneth, you've got some news for us.
Yeah. Our latest intensity analysis has put it in 150 miles per hour and a pressure of 930 millibars.
So 150, 930 on the storm, which is continuing to intensify. For those in the Western Pacific, you'll know that that is the equivalent to a super typhoon threshold. And in the Atlantic, well, it's a strong category 4 hurricane equivalent on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. On the Australian scale, quite comfortably a category 5. I'll try and get the bottom bar to update to reflect that if it works, but you've heard it here. 150 miles per hour, pressure of 930 is what we're going with right now. And Kenneth, would you still say 120 and 956 for Habana?
Recently, a terror modest polar satellite has revealed this infrared imagery, and I'm now looking for it. Which, if you guys don't know, what polar satellite has better than the geostationary satellite is that we don't need to worry about the zenith angle, which may unreveal something else. Like it cool downs everything for a little bit, especially for something high like for take Habana as an example. It is at the edge scan of Himawari, which show negative 50 to 60 degree temperature, which in fact is not, because apparently it's being blurred by very high center angle, that it will make things blurred, very unclear. But from me to Sat 8, it is not. Yeah, it's What? Thermomodis has revealed currently an eye temperature of plus 18 Celsius.
In Niran or?
Habana.
Oh, sorry.
Habana.
I was getting worried there.
But from
Excuse me.
geostationary,
Whoa. Okay.
it's zero.
It's in
That's
Havana,
news.
yes.
I don't know if there's any
Wow.
contamination, but that's very terrifying.
So 18 degrees, you say?
Yeah.
What?
I have a hard time believing that. Is that not an error? Is that true? Well, I have a
Yeah.
hard time believing that.
Yeah, I'm
That sounds
verifying this.
really high.
I'm verifying this. That's
You-
really terrifying.
So just to
I mean, it's
confirm,
Right.
currently exploding, but really? 18 degrees?
that's an observation for Habana, not
All right.
Niran.
Maybe
But
I'll
that's
share
still
this.
insane.
I'll share this.
Yes. You also do have to take note that polar satellite can see much more pixel down detail than geostationary
Okay.
satellites. That is why they can detect these type of unusually high temperatures.
Yeah, you can see
Yeah,
here.
it's 18.
This is the warm medium grade category with temperature of 9 degrees Celsius or more. And you can see this pixel. Pretty much it reveals a very high intensity. Oh
It's
god.
going down to pixels now.
Yeah. Actually, the zenith
I can
angle
share something too.
Sure.
is also not low.
Okay.
Do you guys see this screen?
Let's go to Noah's screen here. Yes, there's that. An infrared view. Is that Habana?
Yeah, that's Habana, and it lags a bit. But here you can see the eye is really clear, and I got readings of 15 degrees earlier.
It is starting to look good on the satellite imagery. I'm just looking on one of my other monitors here. That's impressive. So more intensification on the way?
Yeah. The environmental condition definitely supports this.
So I've got a feeling we'll be in for a long few days then of tracking.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
It's the big season in the southern hemisphere.
Yes, it is.
Well, yes, I mean, March is the equivalent. I mean, you flip the calendar round. In the Atlantic, September 10th is the peak that's well known. In the Western Pacific, August the 31st is the peak. And you flip that around, you're looking at the early days of March for the peak of the Southern Hemisphere, if that's all the same. And lo and behold, here we are. But there we go. So just to reiterate, 150 miles per hour now for Niran, 120 miles per hour for Habana. Warnings are in effect for New Caledonia. They'll be upgraded early tomorrow morning, according to the authorities there. And there could be potentially Category 3 conditions getting close to the island. And possibly, worst case, a landfall there. That would be the strongest landfall in New Caledonia, I think, since Fran of 1992. Possibly. There might have been some more recent ones. But that's everything, really, today. Is there any final comments from our team?
Well, really, the only thing that can be said about what's happening today is that the storm that we have right now is really going for it. They're really going for it in terms of intensity and in terms of shock value to surprise us. And that is really something that we've been expected for the last 2 years for the crazy stress that we have so far.
Okay, well, yes,
So
Kenneth.
the latest intensity fix mix by me has been done, And based on the current intensification trend and the latest information from TerraPolar satellite, I'm upgrading it to category 4. 130 miles per hour and pressure of 949 millibars. 130, 949.
Okay, well, that's breaking news then. We are now running with 130 miles per hour for Habana. Good lord. I'm not sure what to say about that.
That's extremely impressive.
We'll have updates throughout the day, throughout tonight as well. Thankfully, Habana is staying out to sea. We will be following Niran very closely. We'll have updates on all of our outlets. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter, search Force 13 all in text, and you can join our Discord server to have chat with over 1,700 other people in real time on there. It's quite... sometimes you can learn a lot from the people there, I think. But we'll have plenty more coverage coming up in the coming days. New Caledonia watching out for a potential Category 3 landfall in the next 24 hours. It's been nice to do another stream here, and we'll do more when necessary. This was Force 13 Live. Have a good rest of your day.